Cheers, beloved.
Santé.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You always got an extra bullet in the chamber.
You gotta apply the things you learn.
This is true. Otherwise, what was the point?
I mean, listen, man, I've been doing a lot of assessing my values and assessing myself. So why not?
Hey, man.
Knowledge, love, leadership. For me equals legacy.
Knowledge, love, leadership.
Don't think too hard. He's mine. He's like, something missing.
No, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? I dig it.
What's popping though?
It's funny. Mine are love, gratitude, transcendence.
Hey, that's yours.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I'm sure them same words is on my words of values, and I was like,
Damn, if you see these words,
you gotta like boil it down to 3. I was like, I can't boil it down to 3, so I was like, all right, still legacy in there.
I dig it though.
That was not on the list, but I added it.
Yeah, so I guess what I really want to start off talking about is like young boy. Right? Like, so, I'm the youngest of my tribe, you the youngest of your tribe. That comes with, seeing examples, good and bad and indifferent. It comes with a wonderful cheat code of perspectives and paths forged and trails blazed and whatnot. It also comes with a great deal of confidence of like, I come from people who can, and I've seen a lot of examples of can in different arenas and disciplines and whatnot and styles. What do you remember in terms of, when you were an adolescent, of like how you first started to identify who Zay was in this pantheon? Like, what does Zay mean to the equation?
I mean, as I'm listening to you, I think all of those are like opportunities, because everybody don't like take advantage of those opportunities, or their opportunities given to them in the birthing order. Like, I'm not the biggest, like, oh, she's a Scorpio, oh, you know what I mean? As much as like, where are you in the birthing order? You know what I mean? Like, because you could be the oldest Scorpio, and then you'd be like, I got to take care of 13 people. You're not going to be too sexy if you got to raise 12 other mothers who step behind you. You know what I mean? You'll be very different personality than like the stereotypical XYZ. So, I mean, I hear opportunity, I hear choice, and I think that especially when you zero in on like adolescence, which is like what, like 11, 12, 13, give or take, around there, give or take. I think in addition to just birthing order, I think experience has a lot to do with it, and like environment. So I say all that to say, around that time, I think there might have been a ton of lessons that I've learned from my siblings before then, or even cousins before then. But I think definitely around then, as far as like adolescence, I think I found myself not comparing myself to my siblings as much as like realizing, as you're alluding to, right? Like from their lived experience, at least from what I was able to see, shit that I didn't want to do, or things I didn't want to do or experience, right? The age difference is 5, 10, 11, and 15 between me and my siblings. So whether it was like my eldest brother and like his relationships that I saw at that time. So I'm like, if he's freshman on college campus, I'm 5'6".
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm like hearing, as I was just telling my girlfriend, I'm like, kids hear all.
You were.
But I was like, I was hearing how he was talking to his girlfriend, or how his girlfriend at that time was talking to him, whichever one that was. And then, my 2 brothers are as we would say, outside and see the troubles that they're getting into.
Yeah.
The smells of their coats and stuff like that. It's not really registering like why this coat smell like this and this one smell like that.
Right.
I'm wearing this shit to school.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this shit's fly. I'm like, oh, why are my teachers looking at me long?
Right.
As I come in 7th grade with a Pirates jacket that I just thought smelled like incense.
Yeah.
She was familiar with that smell.
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm surprised I never got suspended or pulled in for something.
Right.
But yeah, I saw the trouble that they got into, maybe whether it was family trips that they weren't able to take part in, or one was because the other one was not in trouble at the time, or me and my sister were able to go, but my brother and my mom weren't because that's all she could afford. You know what I mean? So I think around that time, there was a lot of Nas kind of watching from the window type. You know what I mean? Like, I was outside with my cousins, but it was very much like the people who was living at that time at 16, 17, at 26. Like those closest examples was my siblings. And I'm like, I like girlfriends, but I like the idea of it, but I don't know if I want them to boss me around or try to. Nobody boss me around. Or I like the idea of like having friends and these my friends and having independence, but I'm not trying to get into trouble as it seems like these must keep getting into.
Yeah.
I think you can be creative in other ways and have fun in other ways. And then my sister was a girl 5 years older than me, so it's just like, like Jay-Z, you getting wisdom. You don't know how much you're picking up in the moments. But you know, when you're 7 and your sister 12, 13, or you're 12 and your sister 17, she might as well be 31. So we like was in the same house, but I was pseudo the only kid with mad parents. Is how I look at it. It's a long answer, but that's how I look at it. Mad parents.
But in that, how do you describe like who you were, what your expression or presentation was in that context? Like what were your priorities? What were your interests?
I mean, I think what I understood with that was like you are an individual. You know what I mean? I think, you know, as a parent, you might out of habit be like, oh, this kid is more this and that kid's more that. Once you learn that like everybody's their own individual, you're like, I'm kind of them too. I'm kind of that person as well. Especially my brothers who's outside. And I think that's the greatest either parallel or comparable. Because you got your own friends from daycare literally around the corner from where we are to, you know, Elmwood Elementary to Franklin and middle school. Like, these aren't like the roughest neighborhoods to kind of go to school. But it's very much like you have your own experiences. For one, I wasn't nearly old enough to go to school with any of my siblings. So it's like, you the only little in the class. While I'm sure my siblings got the little jokes, you're like little. And it's like, bruh, I'm the only one dealing with it when I'm dealing with it. As well as other things. You know what I mean? Like, my siblings didn't have to deal with Pokemon cards. They had to deal with, you know, goose down leathers and 8-ball jackets and shit I had to look up later. It was like, I was accosted for those. We had our version of that, right? So I think it was always just like, they have their lived experience. You got yours, even as a young kid, because I got siblings. My friends wouldn't know I had siblings unless I told them. And especially my siblings who was outside would never tell people that they got a little brother. So they were like, what, you got a little brother? Like, so we're like in totally different worlds. So I think it was a matter of, I didn't have to live life every day with my siblings. And then I also was like privileged enough to like have them at home to be leaders or examples. And then when I went to school, it was like, all right, how do I apply that at the time I'm growing up? Folks would be like, oh, well, things were wild when I was in school, or things were wild when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, they was real wild when I was outside. You know what I mean? I think I answered your question. I can go a little deeper though, but
I mean, I ain't pumping the brakes on you. You know, I think about like when I think back to myself at the time, I I wasn't aware of how many influences I had. Like, there was the siblings influence. There was the time period I'm living in. There was the neighborhood I live in. There's the religion my family is. There is the where I am in the, sequence of things. There was hip hop. Like, and then there's the things that's like, there's the after effects of the 60s and 70s and what blackness in the 80s and 90s looked like because of those predecessors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't quite understand or appreciate all of the different inputs that I was being influenced by and how I was being informed. You know what I'm saying?
I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
And I think like most kids in general, like I'm not even gonna say kids from like a certain environment. Most kids in general, like if your mom made trash, sweet potato pie, during the holidays, you look forward to that trash.
Right.
You be like, oh, this isn't good, or why isn't it breaking apart? Like that's not what it's supposed to do. It's not what it's supposed to do. But I'm just saying, like that's what you grew up with. That's what you grew up with. So like. I'm just saying, like, as a kid now, as an adult now, right? I look back on some of these experiences fondly, even though they were hella traumatic.
Yeah.
Hella traumatic. And I think that that's part of, as far as when we talk about identity, something that I don't say battle with as much as I assess where I want to be in that. Yeah. Right? Like we're dealing with like, oh, the NBA isn't the NBA I grew up with.
Yeah.
And everybody has always said that, right? But I think now it's like across the board, like, yo, this is unrecognizable.
Yeah, for sure.
This is unrecognizable. It's like the glitch is on NBA 2K. You know what I mean? Where like it's not even fun to watch. And then you think about it like the NBA ain't even give us a reason to boycott them. And people watching football games more than they watching the NBA, and they were just boycotting them 2 years ago for Kaepernick.
Right.
So yeah, I think growing up, there was I think one of my earliest memories with like gangs, for example, right, was I went to Langston Hughes. They changed their name from Elmwood to Langston Hughes, and we had uniforms. And they was like, "Yo, the Bloods is out here doing initiations, whoop!" And I'm like, "Oh man, we wearing red sweaters. They got us wearing red sweaters. They gonna come get us. Oh no!" And then I just remember, like, that was the 5th grade, and then my relationship with street fraternities changed when it was like 8th, 9th grade, and then people who are indoctrinated in this lifestyle. So then again, it's also like the things that you experience as a kid very much help to shape the person that you become, right? Like there was a time when you go to a party, part of survival is not bringing attention to yourself. So like, okay, favorite color is red to this day. Favorite color red to this day. So like I wear a lot more red today than I ever did as a kid on some Tyrese shit, because you couldn't really wear that freely as a kid. Like now I'm old and washed, so don't nobody care. You know what I mean? It's a very different situation now. But I think as a kid, you're like, oh, whether it's visiting cousins on 7th Avenue in Villa Victoria, or, you know what I mean, Carmela Court, like these are very like notorious neighborhoods, if you know. But I might have been going there with my Seton Hall prep blazer. You know what I mean? And it's like you navigate, you be yourself. And I think in most situations you're gonna be all right if you be yourself. I think people smell the frauds more than anything. But I think whether it's the skating ring, my cousin's neighborhood, my own neighborhood, you know what I mean, the bus. Because the 94 was a thing, right? So I think it's very much like, a lot of my environment, and I think now, in 2024, not being the same Newark, the same downtown, the same, culture and society, right? Where now the thing is to be seen. The thing is to not just be seen, but to kind of dropping money, kind of
God bless.
Yeah. kind of even more than ever fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Right. I feel like it's always been a thing about perception.
Right.
But I think especially when I was a kid, you didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
You didn't have social media connected to your cell phone if you were so blessed, right? And when you went to a party, the thing was to like enjoy the party,
right,
and not document the party for people that wasn't there.
Right. Right.
I think just like you talking about, to come back to my example about basketball, where it's like, do I want to be LaMarcus Aldridge? You know what I mean? Where like I come in the league and I'm perfect for the league. Well, I'm perfect for this time. And then you witness the game change and you're like, the game ain't really for me. Like Carmelo Anthony, like you're amazing.
Yeah.
And now nobody wants to see you shoot a mid-range. Right. So it's like, I think that there's certain principles and certain cultural things that folks like myself value, folks of my cloth, I would say, value, and certain things that we would never do or never find acceptable before, during, or after, right? Like there's like, all right, we're going to go with the times. We're not going to like be left behind and be that quote unquote, you know, old ball player who couldn't keep up with the changing game.
Right.
But I think that's no dead ass. I don't know how else to put it, because I think that's kind of how I feel, right? Where it's like there's certain things where you feel nostalgic about,
right?
But you know that that's not where it's at no more, right? Like I think it's odd as hell to be in the party and you like, or the party dead, your section dead until somebody pull out their phone,
right, and then everybody,
and then once they turn it on,
the lights on,
like what? That was when the lights came on at the end of the night. You like, oh,
yeah.
That's what you look like? You feel me? Now people are just like on their phone the whole time.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, look at me.
And Burning Man. Like. I went to Burning Man the first time. You were not supposed to have your phone out. Right. Because this person is a lawyer during the day.
Yeah.
Right now he got whatever on his head.
Yeah.
Not looking like a lawyer.
Right.
Or somebody you want to pay.
Right. To get you out of
$5 bands an hour. But he's good at his job.
Yeah.
Now, people who've never even been to a Burning Man experience, local, regional, know what to expect. They know what they're doing it for. And even if people were doing this before, as in like, oh, this is career changing, that's what the premise is now.
Yeah.
What's you had to be there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting that the time period of like the 90s to the 2000 or to present day, 2024, is the fastest time has moved ever in regard to social change, in regard to technological advancement, in regard to economies, and we lived through multiple stock market crashes and recessions and bull and bear markets. And right?
A whole lot of
But like so fast paced.
Yeah.
Where like we saw everything from, you might remember as a child, a black and white TV.
My grandmother had one of them.
You know what I'm saying?
On top of the one that had the color. So
right.
that was the one she used for the sound.
Right.
Like, I'm that old. Where it's like, must be saying that? And it's like, no, I remember that. It was like, click, click, click.
But like you figure from, 80s to whatever the 40s you call it, very little changed.
I would say that they had a lot. They might have had like, I'm just going off the top of my head, right? They might have had like the third largest change, right? Because I think if you look at it, like my mom, born in 57, my dad born in 56, like they saw what anybody Googles and they talking about North, right? They saw like as a 12-year-old, 13, whatever year old, the rebellion. But around the world, it was like turning up around the 60s, right? Like you have more countries being freed and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I say like, without even doing like heavy deep dive on some history stuff, I think the printing press might have been second.
Right.
The 60s, 70s.
Right.
And what we doing right now.
Right.
Because I was born in 89.
Right.
January 89. So I say I got a full year in the 80s. You feel me? A full year.
Copy.
Early 80s, baby. 89, baby. 89er. But I think about it, it's like, all right, I'm the youngest of my siblings. I got literally 16, 17 nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
And then like the oldest ones, 97, 96, and like they don't remember a typewriter.
Right.
like they're right behind me, right? They don't remember a typewriter. The ones behind them are like, what are you talking about when it comes to a typewriter? Or even what was it that they were just blown away by? And I was like, bruh, that's like basic technology when I was like a young person. Don't even get me started about Googling.
Like
but
a fax machine, a beeper,
in regards of like the I agree as far as the changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's most important, right? Where on some J. Cole, the folks who can translate and be like the middle child for this era and this generation. That's kind of where I see myself.
Right.
I remember not having the internet.
Yeah.
I remember having 7 digits to dial. We was like, oh, area codes now.
Yeah. But you also are
in the human
teaching family members about how AI works and what you can do.
Older and younger. Because I feel like the ones with the AI need to learn what it was like to just experience human to human.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think like simple shit like collaboration, simple things like the user experience. From a cafe that I've seen people most recently like, oh, these cafes are just like the next one. I'm like, because they're not trying to serve a person or community. They are looking at what they've seen work well. And if you haven't seen anything else work well, why would you know that, there's another way to do it?
Right. How would you describe you now? Like characteristically? Or what are your priorities characteristically?
I think as a personification, I see myself as like the young, cool uncle.
Copy.
First of all, I am uncle. So on some common stuff, I feel like I can like change the world through her. And I have no children of my own just yet. So like if I have 17 nieces and nephews, you start with your family, your block, your house, your block. That's, you know what I mean? Like the closest that I can influence or should be influencing. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the same reason why I want to teach. I can do great things. I can and plan to be impactful through my business and businesses. But I really see the need for an army of this type of activity, right? So you blessed enough to come through the same, you know what I mean, bloodline. Like, all right, you got a closer reach to the lessons, the nepotism in a good way. And then I think beyond that, as the term unk, right, is like stay off my lawn, unk. And then there's, Club Shay Shay unk. But I think there's definitely, the need for that kind of balance, right? Where like you get it, part cultural anthropologist, part community leader / troublemaker, serial entrepreneur, city planner. You know what I mean? I think that's the young uncle that I kind of like have become, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but like naturally, right? From my lived experience, I'm from Newark and East Orange, so I don't see the borders of our immediate environment. I do see myself as a Pan-Africanist, you know what I mean? So it's like the Black plight is all connected, you know what I mean? And I think, growing up post multiple other movements, I totally see the need and value of us being economically, powerful and leveraging that impact, right? So it's like something's gonna be real conscious, something's gonna be ratchet, all of it gonna be genuine. You feel me? And like as a matter of like meeting where you are, you know what I mean? It's a bit of the 2025, like, oh, we know the terms and some of the things that we've learned over the years, but then there's also like, come on, man, you just fell. Come on, get up. You know what I mean? Like, I may not necessarily put the Neosporin on your knee in 2025. It's like, come on, we're going to wash that thing off, a little soap. If we got a Band-Aid, good. Other than that, you're going to have a little air on it. You're going to have that scar like everybody else got. So I think it's a nice balance being the young uncle.
Right.
Cool uncle.
Let me add to that point. Like, I've been talking about this a little bit today with a couple people on the phone. How, by your own, whatever your own metrics are, how do you grade 2024 for you?
I mean, in what way? Like, what I learned from it, or how it went?
Yeah, whatever, all of it. Call it like whatever you value.
I feel like even when I feel like I've taken an L, it was been a lesson, right? And that's some cheesy shit because most rich people are like, oh man, even when I fail, I've learned a lesson. Like sometimes you be like, bruh, take all these lessons and just give me like, you know what I mean? Or something in my account and I can fix a lot of this. You know what I mean? But I think 2024 was definitely full of wins. I think Q4, I might have learned the most in the year. I just feel like, one, changes in the business models, changes in, new team members, progression in personal relationships. I think Q4 has been like, for me personally, super trying.
Okay.
And I think it's partly because of the cadence of things professionally, along with, movement changes, personal family things, which nobody cares about. No one asks you like, you know what I mean? Oh man, what's up with, whatever. It's just like, oh, all right, so happy hour next week, or when the next First Fridays, or who's performing this week. Which is fine. But I think in relation to like 2024 has been full of wins, full of practice, both taking time for myself as well as practicing communicating what I need, what I want to those that are on my team, those that are on my like personal team, those that I love. And those that love me. You know what I mean? I think I for sure, kind of also look at myself as the strong friend to some degree. And I don't know if it's a Capricorn Aquarius thing. People always blame that. But I think it's very much, I know what I can do. So I don't always rely on being more creative in the support I can get.
Yeah, and I wonder if that has a lot to do with also being like, the youngest sibling and what that perspective affords.
I'm sure it don't hurt.
Right? Like, because there's a great deal of confidence that comes with it. If, at least in my experience, like I credit a lot of my confidence to being the youngest, and not that I got to witness everybody else or learn from everybody else, but just the awareness of a lineage and a cloth or a, and like, I think about for me, I think 2024, I don't know if I have a grade for it per se, I know it's been incredibly important for me. Like, it's been a monumental year in terms of
Ninja, we made it. It's a great year. What you mean? Inshallah, got a few more days left.
Right. But like, it's been very clarifying for me in terms of like what stuff actually matters and then what stuff is just water cooler fodder and distraction and theater. You know what I mean? And I don't, whatever other people want to focus their attention and energy on, that's their prerogative. But like, I've had the benefit of having a year wherein I had enough real life happening to not care about the drones over New Jersey or
I ain't seen one.
Political things. Right. But like, whatever those things are, just like, nah, I ain't got nothing for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I take it as something to be grateful for, that like I had enough real life actually happening that I wasn't trying to avoid or dismiss, or you know what I mean, that I could actually be rooted. You know what I'm saying? And like last year was another year very similar in that like some like very pivotal, monumental experiences and happenings that very much shaped for me my perspective on what's real life and what's theater. You know what I mean? And so I've also become more accepting and available to this energy that comes around this time of year of new year, new me, and like resetting and trying to get some new oomph. So
never with it. I'm never with it.
Yeah, I was never with it. And then,
I'm still not with it. I'm still not with it. I'll be like, bro, if you don't get your performing ass out of here, I'm sorry. My birthday January 20th. So I just be like, oh, now y'all want a New Year, huh? Y'all been on some bullshit all year. Now you want resolution. I got a planner right here. And it's like, oh, what are my goals for the Q1?
Yeah. But but you get it by default if you have a birthday in January. It's always like a new me.
Oh, because my birthday is January 20th. But y'all motherfuckers forget after the first 2 weeks. Now you're like, I'm sad.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about
and I ain't got time for your birthday.
Like, that's what happened in the new year. But like,
most birthdays be like August, they restarted, got new energies.
Yeah.
Come to Bermuda. No. No. I wanted you to go to Philadelphia in January. You said no.
But
I'm joking.
On a as far as like closing out the year.
Yes.
It's like there is
go back to this resolution shit. Go ahead.
But like the idea of like, all right, you know, I'm finding that there is a value for me in being able to see a chapter.
Yeah.
Or seeing life in chapters and periods and episodes and be like, all right, this one I'm closing the door on. You know, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, physically. And like exercising that muscle. You know what I'm saying? So that I can do it in August, should that be the time period that like I need to apply that strength. You know what I'm saying? But I used to have a great deal of like disdain for that idea of like,
because a lot of it is performative.
It is.
I mean, that's at least for me. That's why I'm just like, I don't really care about your resolution unless you're showing me that that's what you're on. You know what I mean?
And there's levels to it.
Before and after, you tell me.
Right. Or show me.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we all know, people like, oh, I want to lose weight. All right. I will support you on that. If that's what you want to feel better, etc. But you're not showing me that's what you. I mean, it's applicable to all things. I want to stop robbing people. Like, okay, you just robbed somebody as you walked over here. I saw you.
Right.
You came out of Kroger's. You didn't pay for that gum and that sandwich.
Yeah.
Why would I believe you? Yeah. So, like, my birthday's been January 20th my whole life. So, like, I've been seeing people do what they do my whole life around this time.
Right.
You spend all your money on Christmas. You just learned about Kwanzaa. Somebody just told me a bull junk principle about Kwanzaa. And I was like, that is not a principle. Go spend your money on whatever day. Right. They try to throw in and support black businesses. I was like, that is not a principle.
Yeah, at all.
You're remixing.
Right.
It's called commercialization. Right. It's not a principle.
Right.
I will not stand for it.
Yeah.
So my whole life, I've just been seeing people spend their money. And then by the time January 1, January 20th come around, sure, my birthday January 20th. You broke and you ain't got no resolution.
Yeah.
I've got 30-something years of observation. That's qualitative. Like, it's not quantitative. You feel me? Like, I've been watching this. I'm like, you even Muslim. Why you broke? The Eid in a week.
Right.
You ain't even ready to fast.
Right.
Astaghfirullah. So I think that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a million reasons why it's just like, all right, I'm more conditioned by my observations to come back to like being the youngest, right? Where it's like, I got siblings of mine, they say something like, I believe you. They got siblings of mine, like, oh, I'm leaving in 5 minutes. I know that's 15 minutes. And they still going to be like, stopping and making stops. It's like, all right, I'm going to see them in an hour.
Yeah.
One cousin or brother or sister, I'm going to see them in 10 minutes, like you said.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: how do you, or how have you, what have you used as your tools, so to speak, to strengthen that muscle of closing a chapter, moving into new energy, resetting? Like, where's that? How's that show up for you?
I mean, I feel like one thing that Zay has never really had an issue with, and I think I've only gotten more mature to get better at how it comes out, is speaking my truth. Sometimes it can be very forthright. Sometimes it can be constructive. It's gonna be
not
my truth.
Mutually exclusive.
It's
but
gonna be my truth.
Yeah.
They are not mutually exclusive. But I feel like as I've gotten older, it's like, yo, like I really care about this person. Yo, I really care about this relationship. Oh, this person isn't where I want them to be, but I see the need to meet them where they are and like where I value this relationship, for example, right? So it's like, you can be Zay and people want you to be Zay, but I think that there's still a level of like consideration most of the time that you should take. Sometimes some people just got to hear shit a certain way. So, you know, I've been in a breakup and my brother didn't say a word to me and just put on Kendrick, Don't Kill My Vibe. Didn't say nothing. We just in the studio and that's what I heard. And I was like, you know what? You right.
Yeah.
Chick don't kill my vibe. Chick don't kill my vibe. You feel me? That's like, yo, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. He didn't have to say nothing. No other like sweet nothings.
Right.
And I was like, yo, I feel amazing after that.
Right.
I feel amazing after that.
Yeah.
And I think there's some other times where it's like, you know, to kind of touch on, you know, how we've come up, so to speak, right? Sometimes coming up, your family might make fun of certain things about you that outside make fun of.
Yeah.
Sometimes family don't help.
Right.
But I think most of the time, especially how I've been brought up, your family is your first line of defense for outside.
Right.
Especially like older siblings. It's like, come on, you beat them up a little bit and they ready for outside. Like, you ain't gonna touch me because it's outside.
Right.
So I think that there's a bit of that, right? Where I think that there's certain things where they're like, you're just never going to get that off, right? Like as a youth, adolescent, before adolescence, my mom was like, you're not going to let nobody disrespect you. And I think that that's one of the things that might have got me in trouble more than anything in my entire life as far as like advice. From middle school, I can think of a couple situations, to high school, I can think of a couple situations. College is very different because people are like, all right, these are adults, and it's like, all right. But like, I think, especially like in school, I've gotten the most trouble from like, you don't let anyone disrespect you.
Right.
You don't disrespect anyone first.
Right.
But you don't let anyone disrespect you. Right. So like, I think that that's like some of the things where I kind of carry that into my professional life, into my personal life, where if you ask my siblings, I give too many people passes. Personal, professional, etc. And then when they see me give energy, they're like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And it's like, hey, stand on that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I kind of take a bit of advice from, maybe it's not advice, but it's like a thing that I've noticed he also does. Not really advice from him, but I appreciate it. Jay-Z said pretty much like when he's in meetings and different things, he speaks with his real voice. That's something that I heard after I was already doing it.
Yeah. But it was confirmation.
It was confirmation. And like when I heard him say it, it was like, you know what? That actually does feel really good. Because I'm sure you know people where it's like they got a work voice or they got like a phone voice or they got like a whatever. And I'm like, from my first adult jobs, I feel like in both situations, they might not have supposed to hire me. I said that how I wanted you, right? They probably wasn't supposed to hire me. My first job, I was in education. I don't know how they got me around kids. I ain't go to nobody's school for no undergraduate teaching nothing.
Right.
Then I'm working in IT. I ain't go to school for nobody's IT. I went to school for entrepreneurship. I'm just figuring out problems, right? That's why I changed my Instagram handle recently. But yeah, man, I think it's really just coming with my true self. And I think, you know, being respectful, And then I think when it comes to whether I disagree, as you're my superior, you're my boss, my supervisor, or whatever, I'm gonna let you know how I really feel because 80% of the jobs that I worked in, for example, like my supervisors or whomever appreciated me telling them my true feelings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what you want me to do. You the boss. But I'm gonna tell you my true feelings. And like I would say 68% of the time, and I'm being fair, like conservative to myself, they would heed that and actually be like, you know what, that's actually decent. I mean, we should consider that or whatever. So yeah, I try to be respectful first and foremost. If you can receive that and you're ready to receive that, as I'm ready to give it to you, especially when I'm being considerate. I'm not saying always I'm considerate.
Right.
I try. I try. But when I am, and I know I tried, I can only do what you're going to do with it. Some people are the same ilk as me, and they get it. Some people are different upbringing, community, cultural, so they don't get it. And then some people is in this other box that I put them in where they wasn't ever going to get it. They not meant to get it now, and they going to do what they need to do with it. And it's a lot of people in that box, but I'll leave that alone.
I dig it. Yeah, some people ain't supposed to get it that way. They gotta wear it.
I'm sorry. All I'm gonna say is what popped in my head was state property. A line from state property. I'm gonna leave it there.
I'm gonna do my Googles.
Yeah, it's gonna come up later.
And let ChatGPT
analyze that. I'm gonna give one shout out. Prime's Hood Cinema. No E in Prime.
Copy.
2 M's.
Copy.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Yo, so like, let me ask you this: what's your could you for lack of language, you've matriculated through life and your own progression and
good word
and expressions. What is your relationship present day with ambition?
What is my present relationship with ambition?
Yeah.
Immediately, Wale pops in my hand because Wale made one of the most amazing songs with ambition. I think my relationship with ambition is fulfilling what I see Zay's mission is. And I think that is uber ambitious. Whereas and we've had conversations around this before, where I feel like I have a mission that I would say no one locally has. I'm going to say that. I'm going to stand on that. No one locally has. And I think that in the world, without knowing everybody, I think that very few have, right? Where I feel like my success is directly connected to impacting 1 million lives. You know what I mean? And I don't think many people can, one, say what their thing is. And if you know them and know what they've done, you see, oh, I can see that. And if you get to know me, we have a conversation. Anyone that knows me and has a conversation or knows me, you ain't got to have a conversation about my business. You can see that, okay, you give a lot of energy, you give a lot of mental power, you give a lot of physical labor to a thing that ain't clearly only serving you and this only serving your business.
Right.
And there's multiple schemas and ideas and mini plans to kind of realize that. So I think that my ambition is very much tied into not just a greater, but like, how am I not just seeing myself where Zay could be? Right? Because I think that like a long time ago, I had the epiphany of like, yo, you could be whatever you want to do, but even in some of these scenarios and some of these rooms you might be able to wiggle into because you ain't really supposed to be in them. A long time ago, you could have been 10x fold on a business idea and sold this to somebody, did that, or just be in the same community and be an Ivy Tower and then be like, oh, I see what y'all doing outside, or I don't get what y'all doing outside, right? So I think that is very much a greater when it comes to my success. And I think my ambition is that ambitious that I see myself going forward and more than the average going with me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like lately I've been thinking more about like changing my language from like I can be whatever I want to be to I can be whatever I choose, because just in my comprehension of those, the language, like I can be whatever I want to be allows me to just keep changing what I want to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, whatever I choose, I actually got to live in my choice. I can't just be like, identify a thing and I can be that. Like choosing, it's like being married. It's like you can choose to be married as a construct, but you got to live in the choice of a husband.
Right.
And be a husband.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you can be that if you live in that. And for me, it's like the accountability measure is, am I living in the choice? Or have I just identified a role, an objective, you know what I mean, a success story, whatever. I think it's also been like really centering for me to be like, all right, how am I, without any audience, any accountability partner, any external check and balance, how am I living up to what I said I want to be and what I want my future to be and what I want success to be? And like I can be whatever I choose if I actually choose it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And actually choosing it has much more to do with who I'm being than what I've identified.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the choosing it part going, choose your ass. Because it's like, you could say anything.
Yeah.
You got to live that mission.
Yeah.
You could keep saying that every day.
Right.
And I think a lot of our local nonprofits got a mission.
Yeah.
Sound great.
Yeah.
Your actions, how y'all spend that money.
We've gotten to that part of the conversation.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They got the most transparent situation.
Yeah.
The for-profit companies can say all types of things, right? And they show us what they want to show us. But the nonprofits, your goal and your purpose, and the school that I went to is like, I'm paraphrasing, a good charity is supposed to basically not be doing this forever.
Right.
And
supposed
teach
to put itself out of business.
Put themselves out of business. And it's like, yo, I wish I could just put this on the walls and glass and all these others.
Yeah.
Like Haiti, San Francisco, Newark. Nonprofit industrial complex.
Yeah, true.
Like y'all got 1,000 of them.
Right.
Y'all don't communicate.
Right.
Y'all got the same situation being perpetuated.
Yeah.
Vote for governor. No, dead ass. I think, all things aren't equal, but that's the situation on the ground.
Yeah.
I want to answer your question. I want to deviate. That got me excited. I want to deviate.
I mean, you did. You answered it. We just we carried on after that, but...
What was it? I want to finish digging into it.
The initial question was like, what's your relationship with ambition? And then we got into, like, because you mentioned the idea of, like, I can be whatever I want to be. Yeah. So that kind of spurred my...
Yeah, because I think that's what it was. Was that you be whatever you want to be, and that's all well and good. But, like, when kids was like, oh, I want to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
That's fine. But then when you actually got to, like, do that every day, like, you got to live that.
Yeah.
Like, I say I want to be a creative entrepreneur. Like, I want to leave my job. Like, there's shit that comes with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, rent.
Yeah.
Lights.
Yeah.
Personal relationships. You want to go on that trip? How you going to pay for it? You know what I mean? Dental health.
Yeah, word.
You know what I mean? Like, it's things that, like, you got to deal with.
Yeah.
If you're going to take that leap. Right. And if you're going to be... a person of integrity, or you know what I mean, you're gonna be a cultural anthropologist, or you're gonna be somebody who values the Newark culture
Mm-hmm.
while you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are things that, like, kind of take hits at your business model.
Yeah.
Especially if you got to go through these checks and balances because that's what you care about.
Yeah.
Or you feel your audience cares about.
Right.
Whereas, to come back to what we were talking about, there's mad people who don't give damn about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They was born after 2001, 2000 whatever.
Right.
They didn't grow up with the same cultural standards that you grew up with.
Right.
Neither do they got people older than them who've taught them things that been extinct.
Right.
You caring about things that 20% of the people that's outside
you essentially
moving around value and care about.
Right.
And some of the people who are aware don't care to the level that you want them to care about.
Absolutely.
You choosing a lifestyle that you chose.
Yeah, you choosing the island. Yeah.
You gonna be Marlo Stanfield or you feel me? You gonna be Omar?
Gonna get down with this package.
Omar Little.
Yeah, I went to.
I'm not going out.
I grew up with an Omar Little.
Not going out like that.
Shout out to Omar Little.
I know Omar and I'm a Little.
True. Follow-up question is, what's your relationship with gratitude?
Oh my God. I feel like me and OG talk every day on everything. Because there's no way that you could do this work without a bit of it.
Yeah.
To yourself, from folks who matter. And I'm not talking about matter in the world, but matter to you, matter to the work that you're doing. Like, it's hard work doing, in my opinion, a thankless job. Right? Like, I think a lot of the work when it comes to like public programming, city planning, being a public servant, however you want to call that, a creative, I think a lot of that is like very thankless.
Yeah. While
there's maybe a lot of people that appreciate what you do, there may not be as many.
Yeah, you're not an essential worker to them. Yeah.
You ain't had no alcohol, no weed during the pandemic. You are not essential. Word. Sure, you did some little events for people to get outside. Word. But and you know, he helped me get some money in my pocket when she was shut down. But it's very much still, what have you done for me lately? I think that there's a ton of people who show the gratitude, love you to death. You know what I mean? I think many a times folks don't know the impact that they have with like a simple thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
A simple, I appreciate you. This is, you know what I mean? Well, this is great.
Yeah.
And I think that you do the work not for that.
Right.
But I think that when you do this type of work, where it's not an annual gala, and no shade to annual galas, and that's all you do. But like, if you do one program per month, or per year, or you do, XYZ, like, you aren't giving so much of yourself, right? And I think that like people don't really see all the time how much, and I'm not even just talking about myself, but like how much people give of themselves all year round. And I think that it's very much the little things that kind of keep you going.
Yeah.
And, whether it's, a new patron of like members only happy hour, right? Like I actually just seen one today. He just joined Patreon like 3 weeks ago, something like that, give or take. And, to be honest, I don't know his name off the top of my head. Like I can go back and look, but like that's not the narrative of the story. As much as you look at him, you're not gonna like presume that he is going to like be rolling up into all these other type of functions. Right. And I think for me, being a kid from Newark, from East Orange, from 18th Avenue West End, you know what I mean? Glenwood and Springdale, Harrison and Central, you feel me? Like, I see myself in the people that many people walk by, right? I'm a black dude who still got locks, right? There was an era when everybody had locks.
Yeah.
We had a lock shop on every corner.
Yeah.
People was cutting them for the reason they had to cut them. Respect it. I was in Philly. I didn't have to cut mine.
Right.
But I think, like, especially when folks see a young man, still youngish, like myself, you know what I mean, get into the trouble and leading the thing, especially downtown, like, there's an approachability to that. I see myself in that. And then they talk to me, and I'm not talking like, I'm putting on a voice.
Right.
This is my real voice.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you a couple attributes. My man is all of maybe like 6'4", easy 300. And I'm just saying he's not walking around like he just came from a Brooklyn function.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, it felt fantastic that like you got nonprofit leader, whomever right here, young fellow public programmer, you know what I mean? And this was actually during our Friendsgiving. So like his first day, break bread with us.
Yeah.
It's not necessary for me to introduce you to this lady that leads this 15, 16, 17-year-old festival. But you breaking bread right along with her.
Yeah.
And I ain't introducing you just like I introduced her.
Right.
You feel me? Like, bruh, like this is a place where you can just be.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff makes me like filled up.
Yeah. Yeah, like it, you know,
that's gratitude for me.
Yeah. Cause like you're because
you can't do that in many places in Newark. Where the socialite is gonna be next to the nonprofit leader, who's next to the thriving entrepreneur.
Oh, okay.
Who next to the dude that paid his, he subscribed. He a Patreon subscriber.
He just qualified to be here, yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
I think there's many things where I feel like that's not for me. Or the people who doing well, who are also of a certain ilk, may go to Neptune's. I don't know if they feel like I'm gonna go to Swahili and I'm gonna be with the same energy, or I'm gonna go to XYZ and I'm gonna have that same reception. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't own the little beer garden bistro that we on. You feel me? Right. So if it is mine, imagine what that looks like. It's a motley crew.
Yeah. I think that I've found myself to be more grateful for those like individual assertions of people's voluntary patronage.
Oh, I mean, I think that for me, happy hour has been an exercise in like sharpening my entrepreneurial skill set, product, as well as like I've had MailChimp since 2004, which sounds crazy. As I say that out loud, I'm like, damn, most of my nieces and nephews wasn't even here yet.
Yeah, your MailChimp could drink next year.
I got an accountant. I got an account that's older than y'all. Most people are like, I got a pair of shoes older than you.
Right.
I have a digital account.
I got an email list
older than y'all. Like, I remember the password and it ain't got no punctuations. It ain't like an OG password.
Right.
But I've been using MailChimp since 2004.
Yeah.
So like you're retargeting and retargeting and tagging and like, you know what I mean? Like where the response rate is great, but I think it's still a thing where it's like, damn, I've been using this shit for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's getting better. But is it I got excited. I definitely just got excited because I'm just like, yes, I've been using this for so long, and I feel like I've gotten better in retargeting. But I think even with like folks in real life, you kind of know how to approach certain people. You kind of know what triggers are going to be, for certain people as you've kind of been doing it in real life for a certain time. And there's a certain value, to that. And I think the growing of a community where we're over 185, paid Patreon subscribers. Mm-hmm. There's folks who come by was like, I know who you are. Mm-hmm. You know who I am. Mm-hmm. And there's maybe the same spiel. Mm-hmm. Maybe I've said a few different words to you to kind of help you to join. And there's a little bit of me that be like, I'm cool with you being oblivious. Because as you walking around with no headphones.
Yeah, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you.
And these other people who got the headphones because the entry was asking one more question, or the entry was being a little more patient or a little more community focused, right? Where like people be misunderstanding that I'm the person that leads happy hour, for example. So people tend to think that like Cool Vines is the party responsible for it. And the one dude was like, yeah, well, to his friend, he was like, why don't we just subscribe and then unsubscribe tomorrow? I was like, well, that's not what I say? I said pretty much like, well, that's not
the thing is called Patreon. That's not patronage.
I was like, well, that's not having very much integrity. I said something like that to his face, and he was just like, yeah. I'm like, yo, your dollars go to support the DJ. Yeah, your dollars is what pays the DJ
for the good time that you obviously want to have.
I'm like, you didn't pay Cool Vine, so what do you think? Anyway, I digress.
But some people want to have a free good time. That's just who they. That's like you were talking about before.
Like
that's
places,
the box they in.
There's places where that's part of their business model.
Yeah.
That ain't our business model.
Right.
And we ain't Sunoco.
Right.
So I say Sunoco because I remember my cousin had us go all the way down to the Sunoco and like Irvington Center to go buy a basketball with the hands on it, so you know where to put the hands in the basketball. They were selling those at a loss. There's no way Sunoco was selling basketballs at a profit.
Right.
In Irvington Center. I don't even know where there's a basketball court in and around Irvington Center besides, what was that, Irvington Park? Wellsburg Park? I don't know what park that is right there. You know, with the pool. But yeah, sometimes, you know what I mean? It just don't make sense. And you just got to do what you're supposed to do. And that's like the other driver.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the work that you do and the way that how do you focus your mind and your energy?
How do I focus my mind and my energy?
Because there is this is the plan. I want to do this. Yeah. This is the landscape. This is what I'm offering. This is the market for it, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into the thing, and it's like, oh, these people want to have a free good time. This venue thinks that they're the reason why this place is packed when this place was not packed yesterday and it won't be packed tomorrow. Or you get this, whatever, executive, nonprofit leader, whoever, who thinks they can just copy your thing and do what you did because they don't know the legwork, they don't know the strategy, they just saw the fruition.
Yeah.
So like in all of that, you have to maintain a clarity of purpose and a clarity of vision so that you don't get knocked around by the experience of it all. How do you do that?
I mean, I think I don't know if we were already recording, but, to my core values, right? I've been doing this exercise unofficially, maybe every year since I got out of school, officially this year. But, and I kind of got it indirectly from my mom, where like the first one was like knowledge. If you know better, you do better, right? You don't know better, you do ignorant shit. You don't do no better, you do no different. You try to do the same thing, and that's insanity. So I think first I try to keep learning, and that was like something my mom instilled in all my siblings from youth, and something that I learned literally my last class in undergrad. And I was like, you wasted a lot of my time telling me keep learning. And then my professor was like, yeah, YouTube University.
Right.
iTunes U. I was like, are you kidding me, bro?
Right.
Like,
did you just cancel out
you could have saved me so much agony.
Yeah.
The parties were fun, but I could have stayed home for this.
Yeah.
So like, it was like, keep learning.
Right.
And I think that's partly why you bump heads with some of the people that you just mentioned, because they stopped learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you keep learning, especially if you want to be a leader of anyone, right? Let alone adults. Yeah. So you got to keep learning.
Yeah.
Because things that I learned coming out of elementary, things that come out of middle school, things coming out of college, high school, a lot of that was obsolete when I left. Yeah. I would love to be in a class now where my same theology teacher was like, "Oh, you can't use Wikipedia." Right. What y'all using now? Right. Like, what are you telling kids now? Like, if a kid is like to his phone, to his watch, Ayo Agape or whomever, whatever, like come up with, listen to him. Yeah. Now write my paper, double space. Right.
500 words,
8 pages.
Yeah.
What? First of all, I would have killed in that situation. Like, you didn't even have to make the periods bigger. Anyway, so I think it's a bit of like continuing to learn. Yeah. Right. And I think continuing to like circle back to what's your why. I think that, when it comes to, I wouldn't say adversaries, but when it comes to like a hurdle or someone who's not necessarily seeing it my way, I think that there's very often times where it's like, what's my why? Yeah. Because that's bigger than me. Yeah. What's my why? Because that's why I'm doing it. What's my why? Because that's the reason why. If Zay feels this X kind of way, the why is way bigger than how you personally feel.
Yeah, your obligation is to the why, not to this moment.
By any means. Right. You feel me? And if like a mug ain't slapping you, disrespecting you, or XYZ to you personally or your family, we can make it XYZ. Now, I think there's still some other things when it comes to like the personal, how I was raised and, upbringing that I would never do. Or if we are, it's going to go about this way. Because you're not going to disrespect me or my team. That's a very different thing. Right. So yeah, I think it's very much like a knowledge. It's like, what's my why? And I think, a great book that was given to me, short read, is Rules for Radicals. I got that on my first adult job, and it was like, it might be like 169 pages. So real quick read. I love that and 4 Agreements Next to Each Other. And like, I feel like you're ready for war with them 2 books. But I think with Rules for Radicals, I think towards the end of the books, it talks about collaboration or alliances. And pretty much it goes through some checklists of like when you should make an alliance and when it makes sense. Yeah. And pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, it says you don't work with another group or person if you have to pretty much like give in on too much of your own mission. I'm paraphrasing.
Copy.
Right? So like if it's like, again, I'm paraphrasing. If it's 5 things that's most important to you, and you got to capitulate on, bend on 2, it's not a go.
Right.
You feel me? And I think that like, get the book. But it basically made it sound like if y'all not aligned, y'all not aligned. And if you gotta do something and you miss 2 out of the 5 things, for example, y'all not aligned. And that's fine. Yeah. Maybe y'all can work on a 3 out of the 5, but if it's the 5 and them 2 don't line up, it's like the square and the round peg. I mean, your mission is this, but the grant, you got to do this, and in 6 months, and then reporting, that's taking you out your mission. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's very much kind of how I've, at this mature age, 27, I might have wasted some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to some people that I thought was more valuable to me or the why, or me over the why. Nah, it's got online or it ain't worth it.
Yeah, man.
Bless, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
To the next one.
I'm gonna
finish my drink.
Cheers to the future and the present.
That part.